Hello, everybody. First, I'd like to thank Alicia Ponzoni for this opportunity to speak at Reinvent Yourself Women's Leadership Conference. My name is Rosita Perez. I'm a certified self-discovery coach, realtor, podcaster, and speaker. I'm here today to talk about navigating self-doubt and imposter syndrome. In the time that we have together, I'm going to share with you definitions, stats, the root causes, and then we'll talk about the liberation process. That's the most exciting part because you have the power to manage the self-doubt and imposter syndrome, and I'll give you some tips. So let's start with definitions. Self-doubt is a lack of trust in yourself, which leads to uncertainty about your abilities and decisions, as well as negative, critical self-talk and lack of confidence. Can anybody relate to that? Throughout this process, as I'm talking, please write down anything that resonates with you and revisit that later because that's your inner self trying to get your attention and to work on that particular thing. Okay, imposter syndrome, let's define that. It's like feeling like you're a fraud. You doubt your own accomplishments and fear being exposed as a fake despite evidence of success that you have. Self-doubt and imposter syndrome are intermingled with each other. They feed off of each other and are often referred to as self-limiting beliefs. And here's the bigger thing. Both of these infect every decision you make for every facet of your life. Thus, the importance of really understanding, being self-aware, and doing the work so that you manage the self-doubt and imposter syndrome and that it doesn't manage you. Now, when self-doubt and imposter syndrome collide, it's like a constant tug of war in your mind. Anybody ever feel that way? You're always second-guessing yourself, wondering if you're really as capable or deserving as others think you are. And I'm here to tell you, yes, you are capable and you are deserving. It's a nagging feeling that you're just fooling everyone and that you'll be exposed as a fraud at any minute. It's like you're stuck in this cycle of doubting your own abilities, and then you seek validation from others to prove your worth. That is self-doubt and imposter syndrome combined. And it's tough. It can feel like you're constantly battling against your own thoughts and insecurities. But today, I'm going to share with you the liberation process and give you some tips to not just be in this battle, but to win it. You ready? All right. Let's move on to stats. I want to let you know that you are not alone. I pause because I want that to sink in. You're not the only one going through this. You are not alone. In fact, 30% of high achievers may suffer from imposter syndrome. And around 70% of adults may experience imposter syndrome at least once in their lifetime. And self-doubt, I think everybody that we know has some level of self-doubt. But the survey says that 82% of people face feelings of self-doubt. Let's move on to the root. Where does it come from? When you know where something comes from, you can excavate it from the root so it doesn't have any more power over you. So here are a couple of beliefs that are rooted in both imposter syndrome and self-doubt. Perfectionism, past failures, childhood experiences, that's a big one, negative self-talk, external pressure, and lack of confidence. These root causes contribute to the development and spread of self-doubt and imposter syndrome. In order to overcome self-doubt and imposter syndrome, these roots have to not only be faced, but they have to be healed. Why? So that you can build confidence, self-esteem, live unstoppable, and live in purpose, because everybody has been given a gift and a purpose. When we are so consumed with self-doubt and imposter syndrome, what happens is there is no real estate for creativity or understanding who you are. So I've laid the groundwork. You're aware of the definitions of both self-doubt and imposter syndrome. I've given you some examples and the stats that you are not alone. We've talked about the root that is in both self-doubt and imposter syndrome, and the importance of not just facing, but healing these beliefs. Let's dive into the liberation process. Yes, this is going to be where you can take control because you're self-aware and you have the power to make these changes in your life. All right, so I'll share the root causes and common problems, as well as provide tips to navigate. And if you practice these, you can break free from self-doubt and imposter syndrome's grip. All right, I'm going to start with a couple of root causes and how you can navigate each one. Number one, the root cause of perfectionism. First, let me tell you that perfectionism is a strong desire, almost obsessiveness, to make sure everything has no flaws. Everything is perfect in place, the right font, all that stuff. And it comes with excessive criticism. So, how can you navigate perfectionism? And this is near and dear to my heart because I grew up in a home full of perfectionism. So, I battled this for decades. And I am following the same things that I'm teaching you. So, take heart. You can do it too. First thing is to set realistic goals and expectations for yourself. You have a big project, then take it down to bite sizes. Can you have someone else help you with a portion of the project? That's one. The other thing is practice self-compassion and embrace imperfection. Oh, ladies, this is a big one because we give so much to everybody else. We give our heart, our time, our compassion, our understanding. And I'm going to encourage you to give those same things to yourself, especially as you're moving out of self-doubt and imposter syndrome. And embrace imperfection. You are imperfectly perfect. You are uniquely fashioned. There is no one else like you. There's no need to compare yourself with anybody else because only you have that smile. Only you have that laughter. Only you are you. There's no one else like you. I really want you to get a hold of that because there's no time to be sitting up here comparing ourselves to anybody else. You are uniquely fashioned. Let that sink in. All right, two more things about perfectionism. Focus on the progress rather than perfection. And then celebrate your progress. Whether if it's a little W or a big W in the wins, celebrate it. Okay, number two, root cause, overcoming past failures. This is one to dig into. This is one that has to be excavated, right? Here's a couple of ways to navigate out of overcoming past failures. Reframe the failures and take them as learning opportunities. Listen, Walt Disney, Benjamin Franklin, all the inventors and the high successful people have failed many, many times. They are not perfect. They experience failures. And so I'm going to encourage you to take each failure, reframe it as a learning opportunity. What did you learn from that experience? How could you do it better next time? Stop spending time beating yourself up, but understand what can be done next time. Okay? Practice forgiveness and let go of past mistakes. That is a journey. You're not going to get that like in 2 weeks. This takes time, especially the older that you are. There's a lot of forgiveness that needs to take place. Forgiveness of yourself and the things that you've done, forgiveness of others that have hurt you. And there's no need in hanging on to the past mistakes. Just look at it as a fur, right? That fur is heavy. Unforgiveness, past mistakes, failures, when you wear that, it's a coat of heaviness. I'm going to challenge you to take that coat of heaviness off. Forgive yourself, forgive others, and let go of the mistakes that happen, because most of the time, those mistakes and heartache and traumas build us up. It makes us who we are into who we become. So it's up to you. Again, you have the power. All right. And then focus on the present moment and future growth. If we're so stuck in the past, how do we move forward? All right, number 3, root cause, healing childhood experiences. So I'm going to let you know what I had to do. I had to address unresolved issues from my childhood. And once I unpacked those childhood wounds and experiences, then I felt freer. I was able to stand in who I am because now I had room to understand and discover me. All right, the next thing is practice self compassion and recognize that your worth is not determined by your past experiences, your past mistakes, or your pain. You are worthy. It's time to discover your beautiful self. Maybe some of you have put yourself on the bargain rack where you really belong behind the glass, where all the expensive items are. So be kind to yourself. Grab a hold to you are truly worthy. The next thing is connect with supportive friends, mentors, coaches, communities who can provide encouragement and understanding. This is so incredibly important because we are not meant to do life alone. Nothing great was ever done by one person. So, by facing root causes and implementing these solutions, you can navigate self doubt and imposter syndrome more effectively and cultivate a greater sense of confidence, self worth, and live authentic in your life. So, let's move to the common problems associated with both self doubt and imposter syndrome. Okay. The first one that's common in both is negative self talk. Once you tackle this, then you're well on your way. The solution is to reframe and replace that negative thought with positive affirmations. The second thing is difficulty accepting compliments and help. I'm going to add that in there. As strong women in leadership positions or just strong women in general, we have a hard time accepting compliments and accepting help. And here's the thing, they genuinely are giving compliments and they genuinely want to help. When we don't allow people in our lives to bless us, we are taking away their blessing. So keep that in mind. And I know how hard it is to receive help. I can tell you that one time I had to start over and I was in my own apartment. I did not have dishes. I didn't even have a microwave. My true friends gathered around me. They brought me a microwave, dishes, food. They came to visit me during my time of need. And it was incredibly humbling because I was the one who was always there, who was always giving some sort of help. And now I sat in a place where I needed the help. And I can tell you, those friends will be my friends forever. And it changed my life to be able to receive their help and their encouragement. The solution? Practice accepting compliments graciously and then internalize the positive feedback that you do get. Because people around you who are close to you can see who you are. Let them tell you. Let me share 3 beliefs where self doubt and imposter syndrome reinforce each other. This is where they feed off of each other. It's the validation loop, negative self talk, and perfectionism. This, ladies, is where you have to not just fight, it's time to win the battle. Put on your armor and let's get to fighting. Okay? Validation loop. This is where people doubt themselves and might seek external approval from others to feel better. Now, I want to give you a warning here. Relying too much on external approval can increase self doubt even more because you're relying on someone else to tell you the great things about you or to approve you, and you don't need to. You have everything inside of you to make this shift and be who you were called to be. And then, so what happens with that is imposter syndrome thinks that any praise given is just luck or a mistake versus recognizing their real abilities. Take time to recognize your real abilities. Take time to listen and even write down what your close friends say about you. In fact, I'm going to give you a challenge. Pick 2 to 3 of your closest friends and ask them this question. When I walk into the room, what do you see? And when they tell you, write it down and read it again later. Read it several times, especially when you're down, because this is how people see you. So here are a couple of ways to navigate that validation loop. Instead of seeking approval from others, take charge of your own validation. And here's a couple ways how. Reflect on your achievements. Take some time. Write down a list of your past successes, whether they were big or small. Remind yourself of the skills and qualities that make you awesome. Remember to reflect on your accomplishments and strengths. Number 2, practice self-validation. Whenever you achieve something or overcome a challenge, give yourself a little pat on the back, right? Acknowledge your efforts and celebrate your victories, no matter how small they may seem to you. Remind yourself of your strengths and accomplishments, and don't let self-doubt hold you back any longer. I got the experience, I've got the skill set, and I've got the confidence to know that I will be able to take care of this task, this job, a promotion, whatever it is. Make sense? All right. By taking these action steps, you can break free from the validation loop and start validating yourself from within. You have the greatest power. You can be your biggest cheerleader. It's time to practice that. You have the power to recognize your own worth and competence without seeking validation from others. Trust yourself and your abilities and know that you are more than capable of achieving success, period. Negative self-talk, let's go ahead and battle that. It's both in self-doubt and imposter syndrome, and it contributes to a cycle. Self-doubt leads individuals to question their abilities and worth, while imposter syndrome amplifies these doubts by convincing people they're frauds. So they go hand in hand. They're intermingled. They're interlocked, really, in a lot of situations. This negative self-talk perpetuates feelings of inadequacy and reinforces the belief that they are not deserving of success or recognition. Here are a couple of ways to navigate. Number 1, recognize the negative self-talk when it comes in. All right. When you are aware when the negative self-talk happens, you can be more prepared because Maya Angelou says, when we know better, we do better. Notice the moments when you're questioning your abilities or feeling like a fraud. Get to know you, date you, fall in love with you. Remind yourself at times when you succeeded or received that positive feedback. Number 2, replace negative thoughts with positive affirmations. Counteract that, right? Remind yourself of your strengths, accomplishments, and your worthiness. Take yourself off the bargain rack and put yourself behind the glass where the expensive things are. Repeat affirmations. Put them all over your wall with Post-its, right? I am capable. I deserve success. I am enough. Say it out loud. Now, some people may think talking to yourself is kind of kooky, But I'm going to tell you that Gary Lupian from University of Wisconsin-Madison, him and his team did an experiment called feedback hypothesis. The research shows that talking to yourself out loud can motivate you to move forward with your goals. It helps you focus on a task at hand, and it combats self-criticism. We have to take hold of our thoughts. The third one is practice self-compassion. Treat yourself with kindness and understanding. Acknowledge that everyone, including yourself, makes mistakes and has experiences of self-doubt sometimes. We are all human. And again, we are perfectly imperfect. Be gentle with yourself and remind yourself that you're doing the best that you can in this particular moment. Now, by taking these action steps, you can start to break free from the cycle of negative self-talk and cultivate a more positive and compassionate inner dialogue. Remember, you deserve to feel worthy of success and recognition. And you have the power to change the trajectory of your life. You got this. So let's do the last one, perfectionism. Self-doubt and imposter syndrome are often intertwined with perfectionist tendencies. Oh, don't I know that so well? Individuals experiencing self-doubt may set excessively high standards for themselves as a way to prove their worth, while imposter syndrome convinces them that anything less than perfection is evidence that they are a fraud. That is a mental battleground right there. This pursuit of perfection perpetuates self-doubt and reinforces imposter syndrome, as individuals never feel satisfied with their accomplishments and constantly fear being exposed as frauds. So here's a couple of ways to navigate. Number one, set realistic goals. We talked about this earlier. Start by setting goals that are challenging yet achievable. Break the larger task into smaller, manageable steps to prevent feeling overwhelmed. Again, focus on progress, not perfection. Shift your mindset from striving for perfection to celebrating progress. Recognize and celebrate your efforts and improvements along the journey, rather than fixating on achieving flawless results. Number three, challenge that all or nothing thinking, right? It's not black and white. There's gray areas, right? So reframe your perspective on success. Understand that setbacks and imperfections are a natural part of the learning process, and it is part of your journey, will always be. But understand that none of this defines who you are. It doesn't define your worth or your competence. When you make mistakes or fall short of your own high expectations, be kind to yourself. Just keep repeating, I'm worthy. I'm not perfect. I'm imperfectly perfect. Treat yourself with the same understanding and empathy you would offer a friend. Now, by implementing these action steps, you can begin to break free from that grip of perfectionism and cultivate a healthier mindset towards success and self-worth. Remember, progress is more important than perfection. You might want to write that down. Progress is more important than perfection. And you, my dear, are deserving of praise and recognition for all your efforts, all your experiences, and all of who you are. Keep moving forward with determination and self-compassion. I'm going to leave you with these two things because now you are self-aware. You know what self-doubt and imposter syndrome look like. You know the root. You know ways to navigate out of them. And please understand, this is a journey. This is not a quick fix. You're going to have to dedicate and commit to yourself to make these shifts, okay? But you had the power. You have the power within to change the trajectory of your life. So I'm going to leave you with this fun thing. Name your imposter. Give your imposter a humorous, lighthearted name, like Doubtful Debbie. Now visualize yourself confidently telling Doubtful Debbie to shut down the negative thoughts and all that comes with imposter syndrome. And then share the Doubtful Debbie name with trusted friends so they can understand and help you through it. Sometimes I'll go, Doubtful Debbie's trying to creep in. And then what happens is they come around and they support me, they laugh with me, and it helps to have people around you that support you. I want to leave this with you. Embrace your journey, knowing that every step taken in the face of doubt strengthens your resolve. Your potential knows no bounds. Believe in your unique abilities and let them guide you past the shadows of self doubt and imposter syndrome. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this was value add for you. And if you would like to receive one hot tip for your specific situation, please book your free clarity call with me. Go to my website, movingforwardforlife.com. One last thing, Alicia Ponzoni, thank you again for this opportunity to speak at Reinvent Yourself Women's Leadership Conference. I will see you next time.